and I can't go on enough about it. It's horrible. I have nightmares about this stuff. So welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I needed to take a little break from the electrical. So today I'm going to be focused on windows and doors briefly. So I found this little gem on Facebook Marketplace. It came out of a house. It's not that old. It looks like it was put in and it was probably a mistake in the order, not quite what the customer wanted. But at any rate, we got it for a fraction of what it's actually worth, and it's still in great shape. The only drawback, I'll have to hunt down a couple of these trims, the ones on the side. So this is the fastener cover. Ordinarily we would call this a door stop, and I may have to look it up as a door stop to find it. But it's specific to Anderson brand windows and doors. And I believe it's fiberglass. Doesn't quite feel like vinyl. So I gotta find that, and the handles are going to be a little bit more money just because of the style that goes on here. But aside from that, we got a great quality product. So I got that. It's going to go into this door opening, and as you can see, the door is narrower. So I'm going to be expanding this opening in order to fit that in. So I'm going to be exposing the framing behind, and I'm probably going to expose it from inside. Usually I would do that entirely from the outside. I got a couple of methods for disconnecting it from the drywall without damaging anything. But I'm going to take it out from the inside just because this is where we're focused on doing all the work. And the outside, I'm not focused on the outside for quite a while yet. We'll be done inside and have occupancy before I care about that. Brings me on to this one here. So I'm really excited about this. This is going to be the front door. So this is solid fir, and once again we got it for a fraction of what it's worth. We also found this on Facebook Marketplace. So I have to make a frame for this, which is actually quite easy. There's not much to it at all. It's probably one of the easiest parts of making a door. So I'm not going to put this up yet. I'm going to store this away, and I'm going to let this door continue to get beat up for the bulk of the process. What I want to do with this door is have it stained and ready to go prior to going in. Just because if I put it out right now, all the moisture and humidity and whatever else, it's gonna affect the wood. It's gonna start to get fuzzy, and I'm gonna have to basically sand it back down prior to finishing it. So I want it finished prior to going up. So I'm going to set this aside in one of the bedrooms and focus on it, maybe on a rain day or whenever I get a chance. Xana still has to figure out what color she wants it, so she got a little bit of time on that. This has to get done a little bit sooner though. I mean, I could throw a handle on this and call it a day for now, but if I have to expand this opening, this has to be done prior to drywall. So I'll want that done sooner than later. The garage door, I don't have a garage door yet. The man door here. What I might be doing with this is just sealing it up for the time being and replacing this later. Once again, it's nice not to replace the doors unnecessarily during the process because they do get damaged. You have to pass through it with a lot of materials and things like that. So we're going to leave that off for the time being. So one thing I have to do with this, as you may notice, this is a very wide door. So this would have been for a 2x6 construction and going into brick. So that's why they have these extensions on here. So this would bring it out to, say, within an inch of the edge of the brick, and it gives you a nicer finish. So I have to take these extensions off. And what that's going to reveal underneath is a receiver groove that this is slipped into. So these trims here usually snap in. Now, because this is a fiberglass frame and this is extruded aluminum, it's probably going to be a little on the tough side getting it off. I'm going to have to be very delicate. I'm going to go in with my little red pry bars and very gently try to get it off. And I'm going to wrap some masking tape around the end just to make it a little bit softer. But that will be getting finished with something else afterwards. So I don't have to be super concerned about scratching it, provided I come in from this side. So that's what I got to get done first. Once that's off, I'm going to start prepping this opening. Now, the other thing I got to get done is this goofy little mistake. So this window has bothered me since we got here. Mostly because I saw first these little holes, and then I saw this. So these are weeper holes. This is the outside of the window. This is supposed to be turned the other way. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me why they did this, except inexperience. So I could see here they cut down some of the inside trim. This was removed and reinstalled. That's why it's all cockeyed. You can't tell in the camera that well. Maybe from this angle. It is definitely cockeyed. They put it over a nail fin. When you're inserting a window like this, you can absolutely do that. But what you cannot do is order it with nail fin. So I have to remove this window. I'm going to take the nail fin off, turn it around, reinstall it properly. So that's on the agenda today. So running into work like that, it's somewhat comical, but it's a little annoying at the same time because, you know, he was already in there. It could have just been done right the first time, but it wasn't. So a little bit of rework, but the window's still in okay shape. It's probably the newest window on the property. It's still got labels on it. So it must have been a busted window that he got replaced like that. Not the method I would have gone, but it's there. And when I go to replace the entire unit, I'm going to replace it as one unit, which will patch that whole thing up, but I'm not going to be doing windows and doors for a little bit yet. So I'm just trying to get everything functional and make it work properly. And that is one of the things, if the inspector saw that the windows or doors weep inward, they will fail that for occupancy. It's not because it's not functioning as it should. So I don't know how it's listed exactly, but all of these exterior products, things like that, are meant to shed water outward because you can't avoid condensation and things like that getting inside the vinyl frames. So even if it's not exposed to rain, it still does get water inside. The frames aren't fully sealed, not like the glass. The glass is vacuum sealed. It's a much different thing. And you know when your glass has gone back because it starts fogging up inside, that means that your seal's broken. And that fog inside is the condensation I'm talking about. That happens inside the frames of your windows and doors unless you have wood. And that has to shed somewhere. So if you don't have those weeper holes pointing the right way, they shed inside your house. So with that said, let's get this done. Locked in good. So it looks like there's some staples from this receiver that go into the frame. So ideally I want to unsnap this from the receiver first. So I'm going to have to probe a little bit to see how to do that. So the door is ready to go in. The foam is pulled off from around. So it turns out it wasn't in a receiver groove. They're actually riveted in. I guess that's how Anderson does it. That's interesting. But that's not a big deal. So this is fiberglass, and this is absolutely repairable. We'll use a fiberglass filler, and this can be primed and painted just fine, which we will eventually be doing. So that's not a problem at all. And this cleans up rather nice. I honestly prefer not to have the receiver groove. I don't plan on having aluminum in here. That's the only time you really want that groove in there, is for aluminum. It gives you a nice clean area to attach to. I'm planning to attach to the side. So the edge of this frame, I'm going to have to clean this up a little bit more unless I have a trim build out that exceeds past this, but I'm going to worry about that later. For right now, let's get on to modifying this opening. So what I have to do first, aside from getting my stuff out of the way, is I have to take drywall out, and I'm not just going to stop where it is. I'm going to take the drywall off to the next stud over, about halfway on. That's going to give us plenty of room to work, because I got a header up here. I'm going to have to remove it and extend it past actually where the door opening is. So I'm going to have some jacks in, and I have to be sitting on those jacks. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, look what I've got. FlexiSpot reached out to us and sent us this amazing bed and standing desk, and I was way too excited to wait for the new house. I just had to see it together right away. My sister said I could use her room since it's got more space, and we just took out our old bed to make room for the new one. Look at this, you guys. Japanese joinery bed frame. It's solid rubber wood. It's a traditional wood-on-wood joinery design, eco-friendly with simple, clean lines. The best part, no tools. You just have to slide the parts together like Lego pieces. It's kind of satisfying, actually. The slats are also held in place with Velcro. Guys, this really didn't take me very long to do. All by myself, I didn't have any help, and look at how beautiful this wood is. I chose the walnut color because I really liked how dark it is. It's just so nice. Next, FlexiSpot's Calm Hair Standing Desk. I've wanted one of these. I was super excited about this because if I have to walk away from a project or paperwork or something I'm doing, all I'll have to do is just push one button and the whole desk will stand up, making sure that nobody's little fingers will be getting into my stuff. Or for those days that I just don't feel like sitting down and I just want to be more active, I can definitely use it to stand and do my work too. Everything was really well laid out in the instructions. It didn't take me that long, maybe an hour to put this one together. And the packaging that the bed and the desk both came in was really nice. I can tell that they really take a lot of pride in their products. Andrew was definitely surprised that I did all this by myself in one night, but you guys know how women are when we want some furniture together. We just get it done. Okay, you guys, check this out. Ta-da! Whoa, this bed, I'm not even kidding. When I sit on it, it was like no squeaking, no wobbling, perfect bed. And the desk with the drawers, push the button, it just goes up and down. I love it, you guys. And this is the perfect time to get your own joinery bed or even a hybrid mattress, because right now, FlexiSpot is having a huge Labor Day sale. Click on the links in the description and be sure to use our code GRIT, that's GRIT, for $20 off. Thank you everyone for helping us to become sponsored, and thank you FlexiSpot for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now back to the episode.
So I have to say, the 70s wasn't a bad time for craftsmanship. Not as bad as it is now, but there is one thing that bothers me more than anything, and it started around the 70s, maybe early 70s, and it went on all the way into the 90s. And it's this horrible material they used for sheathing. It's like a masonite product. It's got tar paper on either side, and it's just awful. It's basically sawdust by now. So whenever I go to do the exterior, I'm going to be redoing all the sheathing. For right now, I'm just going to make this work. I just got to pop this back in place. What a horrible product it is, though. I have to say, I'm sorry for anybody who's fond of the 70s. This was not a proud moment. And what gets me is that it continued for 3 decades. When I'm going to quote houses to do siding, because that's pretty much most of what I do is siding, I can always tell the year. And if it's within a certain range of years, I really dread the job. Because when I'm going to side a house like this, I have to be so extremely careful when pulling everything off and when putting everything back on. Because it was probably strong when it went on, but it's extremely weak over time. It's literally like sometimes you could just about put your hand through it with minimal effort. It's a really terrible product, and I can't go on enough about it. It's horrible. I have nightmares about this stuff, and when I get jobs and I know that I have to deal with it, I dread it. There have been some instances where I talked the homeowners into resheathing the house because it's that bad. So I have it on my house. And yes, it's a little bit of a curse, but it's something I know how to deal with. So I'll patch this up for right now and we'll continue on. I'm not worried about the exterior. I just have to make sure everything's sealed, and we'll worry about the exterior when we actually get to it. So when determining how many nails you need, it's the nominal width divided in half. So this is a 2 by 10. The width is 10. So I need 5 nails per row, and I need to have a row at least every 16 inches and one within 4 inches of the ends. So this is 49 inches long. So if I cut that down, I need 1, 16, 32, and then rounding off at the end. So 4 rows of 5 nails. So I'm going to start by getting one in either corner. We gotta make sure it stays straight, otherwise it's going to be a pain to install. The opposite corner, I've actually got to do a little trimming there. That could have been me. Well, that's annoying. Alright, so we're ready to put the door in. So, first thing I want to do, I'm going to grab some caulking, and I still got the cartridge out and everything for my little repair on the roof. That's the same kind of caulking that I want to use for sealing up this sill. So, because this sill goes down tight, it's not practical to try and foam it. Now you can pre-foam it, you can do a few things, but it's just not as good. So I prefer to caulk the bottom. So I'm going to apply some caulk, and then I'm going to tilt the door in. Now I've got my temporary handle here. It's extra classy. I found a nice glass knob. I actually kind of like it. So I'm going to open the door up. And it should be, yep, good to go. Now something I got to watch for. You talk to a lot of carpenters and they swear by putting the level on the hinges. I actually don't like that method. And the reason being is when you're dealing with older houses, a lot of times the house may be a little out of level, or the spot you're working on is a little out of level. In which case, if you level the door, you level the hinges without leveling the threshold, you've put the door out of square and it won't function properly. The other thing that potentially happens is that you try to level the threshold, and that means you got a little bit of a gap down there. It's very hard to make that nice and solid again. You can do it, but if you do that and you get the door perfectly level, but the rest of the house is out of level, it's going to look wrong. So the best thing to do is to put the door in, you drop it down, and you let it follow the threshold. That's your starting point. And after that, what you want to do, and I got a little bit of a challenge here because I got a damaged hinge. This happened as we were transporting it, but you'll notice there's a bigger gap here than down there. I gotta fix this a little bit. It's not a big deal, but I can't really trust this reveal. So when I say reveal, what I'm talking about is this gap here, and you see as I move the door, this gap changes. And what we really want to look for is a very consistent reveal all the way around. And it's the same thing whether you're working on windows or doors. You really want that reveal to be very consistent all the way around. That's the most crucial thing to make sure that it functions properly in the end. And once again, level is actually somewhat secondary when you're dealing with new construction where you can expect things to be a lot better. You can rely on the level a lot more. And in most cases, it's perfectly fine to rely on the level, but there's always that odd circumstance where it's not okay. In which case, you're making a big mistake if you're going by level and that's it. You really have to go by eye in certain circumstances. Now, this house isn't terrible, but it is somewhat out of level, and that's not a bad thing. It's perfectly normal. It's something that happens over time. I'm not bothered by it. If I stuck a marble on this floor, it would probably roll in one direction or the other. Once again, not really concerned. It just happens with time. So let's get this started and we'll see how it goes. This repair, there it is there. You can see the slop in the hinge. That's not going to be a big deal at all, but I'm going to have to pull that as I'm checking my reveal around to make sure that everything's good and consistent still. So we'll get that caulked and set in place. So these shims I put up here, these are completely temporary. They just help hold the position as I start maneuvering it around. So now I can move it a little more freely, and they're just sort of an extra set of hands. Well, I've still got some work left to do adjusting it, but it's getting late. I'm tired. I want to foam it and go home. So that's what I'm going to do. I can work with it from this position, and that's the important thing. Of course, the foam gun's out there. Now the key to good foaming is not to overfill. If you overfill the cavity, it'll compress the frame in, and it'll cause your windows or doors not to function properly. So the trick is to get a nice solid bead on the inside and then one on the outside. And having a gap in the middle is not a bad thing. That's called a thermal break. So we don't mind that. Well, for a Facebook find, I'm quite pleased. So, like I said, still a little bit of adjustment left to do, but we'll make it work. So it actually wasn't that bad of a job. Probably would have been a lot easier if I started a little earlier in the day and had a bit more energy. I had a pretty long day at work before I showed up, so my arm's already tired. But yeah, no, it went well. We got a door in, that's one down, and that was probably the more problematic one for me. The most problematic one is actually the garage, but I don't really care that much about that one. I'm just going to seal it up as it is for right now. I don't have to change any more frame openings. So, I think, yeah, I'm going to call it a day and head home. So, just remember, if you're liking the episodes, if you want to follow us along for the ride, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And as always, we appreciate all the likes, the comments, the shares, everything. And we'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye.